Hello, my name is Marge Johnson, and I'm going to be talking about my son Eric, who is now almost 45 years of age and has lived for probably 20 years, at least, with a diagnosis of having a mental illness. He's been in and out of many hospitals, Riverview 2 or 3 times, and VGH and UBC, and has lived in some of the group homes. He's lived in a number of group homes, such as Ananda, Highland Manor, and a few others. At this point, he's living on his own in an apartment in Dunbar, and so he shares a house but has his own apartment and therefore is in charge of his meals and all of his activities. He's visited twice a day by people who give him his meds and check his blood glucose because he's diabetic. He really tries to be active. So he goes to Coast, he goes to MPA, and he goes to art groups at the art studio in Open Door. So he does his best. His main problem is he's anxious and he finds getting into large groups very difficult. So he's lonely and would like to do more, and that's where we're at right now. He has a sister who loves him and tries to be with him whenever she can. And she also works with people who has a mental illness. What are the challenges that we have as a family? There are many. Eric is unable to take a regular bus. He finds being in any crowded situation very anxiety producing. He finds it difficult to be in crowds. Even going to a park, if there's a number of people around, he gets very anxious. So as a family, our challenges are getting him out and doing things as a family, so that we would, if we wanted to go to a restaurant or we had to go to a movie, we have to look at where we can go and what we can do with him, because he gets very loud and very aggressive verbally when he's in a situation he's not comfortable with. He also has a tendency to touch people, and we therefore are constantly on our guards to stop him from reaching out and patting people. He wants to do this in a very gentle way, but he's unable to. I find that at this point in his life, his cognition is getting less. He's unable to understand an awful lot that's going on. Going to a movie, you'll ask him afterwards how much he understood, and he'll say not a lot, but he goes because he wants to be involved in activities. So challenges are we're unable to do things as a family unless we really find places that are isolated. We'd never know if he's going to find it difficult to be where he is because there were too many people and we have to leave. Again, we also always have to remember that he's got a good heart and he would like to be out in public. It's just very difficult for him to be able to do so. He does have support in the form of peer support workers, and one of the people who he works with goes to an art class at the Open Door Society and works with Eric during the class that is an art studio program. The young man who works with him does so because Eric's ability to concentrate is very poor and he requires a great deal of attention. So an arrangement has been made for the peer support worker to work with Eric once a week in the art program. He has been matched with a peer support worker who will come and do things with him on a weekly basis. That program has stopped for him now because the 2 years are up. But during that time, she would go with him to doctor's appointments. They would go for walks. They would do things that he needed to do around the community and mostly spent time having coffee and talking. And it was a huge benefit for Eric, and he really looked forward to those programs. The woman who worked with him constantly called me and asked me questions or talked about concerns that she might have or activities that she might engage in with Eric. And the dialogue between us was a very good one, and I really appreciated that. She never betrayed any of the confidentialities that occurred between the two of them, and she respected his privacy. But there were questions that she would have or suggestions that she would make, and again, I really valued that. I find that peer support workers provide a huge service to our people. I think sometimes they might not realize that taking a person for a walk or sitting down and having coffee is something that is really important in the lives of our people. And even though it may not be an extremely stimulating one or activity for a peer support worker, the thing that they must be reminded is that for some of our people, this is the only chance that they ever have to sit down and talk to somebody whose sole purpose is to be with them and to talk to them. So in many ways, it's a form of really supporting our people when a support system really isn't always in place. I've run out of thoughts.
So what would you like people interested in becoming support workers to know? Do you have any tips for new peer support workers?
Okay. If someone is going to be a peer support worker, some of the tips that I would have would be to certainly spend time getting to know the person that they are matched with and have a clearer understanding of what their needs and interests might be, even if they're just as minimal as going for a walk or sitting and talking and having a cup of coffee. I would also encourage them to make contact with the family of the person that they're matched with so that they can get a better understanding of who the person is, what their likes would be, and just being able to share their thoughts with family members, because that sort of dialogue is really important. I think I would start slowly and not push anything onto the person they're matched with right away. And so sitting and talking and saying, what are the things that you would like to do? What things do you find comfortable doing? What things do you feel uncomfortable doing, such as going on a bus or going into a crowded area? So really get a clear understanding of what the person's likes and dislikes are. I think that would be really important.